Have you ever considered that the simple act keeping you alive right now might also be the very thing keeping you bound to the same repeating days? We imagine breath as survival, but what if breath is actually the architect of your reality, silently shaping the world you wake into, moment after moment? Science has begun to touch what the ancients always knew. The Heart Math Institute discovered why so many of your efforts to grow feel like running in place. Because each inhale and exhale is more than air moving through lungs. It's a signal, a message whispered into the fabric of existence. On average, you draw 23,000 breaths in a single day, and yet almost every one of them passes in complete unconsciousness. You breathe while your eyes drift over endless emails, while you sit stalled in traffic, while your mind loops that 3 a.m. conversation, while you rush through tasks with a quiet ache beneath your ribs. But have you ever stopped to notice how your outer world keeps reflecting the turbulence within? Without knowing, you've been broadcasting a unique energetic signature through the rhythm of your breath to everyone who drifts inside your 8-foot radius. And beyond that, your breath is writing directly into the quantum field itself. Imagine each inhale and exhale as a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. When you breathe from anxiety, you paint in jagged, frantic lines. When you breathe from peace, you wash the world in calm light. The quantum field does not distinguish between what is inside you and what surrounds you. It simply echoes back the signal you continually send. This signal moves at frequencies far beyond the mind's perception. Subtle electromagnetic ripples flowing at the cellular level with every breath. Dr. Fritz Albert Popp's work on biophotons revealed that each cell in your body emits light. Coherent light when you are in harmony, chaotic light when you are in disharmony. Your breath influences this light directly, which means every moment you are painting your existence with light itself. The ancients called this breathing the light body into existence. They understood that conscious breath could restructure the energetic blueprint of the physical form, heal the incurable, and stretch life far beyond its ordinary span. They weren't merely hoping. They worked with precise knowledge of how consciousness speaks to matter, through the breath. This is why affirmations and vision boards fall flat for so many, because the mechanism isn't in the words or the images. It's in the electromagnetic field each breath is generating. Every inhale, every exhale either constructs the reality you desire or quietly dismantles it. When you learn this, you stop wrestling with circumstances and begin shaping reality from its source, the level of consciousness itself. In a moment, I'll share the 4-stage observer breath method that shifts you from life's victim to life's conscious architect, and the quantum gap technique that can activate this transformation in just 0.3 seconds, so you become the still point around which reality reorganizes instead of being swept away by every passing wave. Each unconscious breath is a lost opportunity to rewrite your existence. Most people let 23,000 of these moments slip away every day. Your entrance into this life did not begin with a thought. It began with a breath. Your very first act on this earth was not to think or to speak or even to cry out, but to draw in air, as if welcoming the invisible into your being. That first inhale was not random. It was the doorway through which your consciousness entered this dimension. Not through mental complexity, but through the elegant simplicity of a rhythm older than language itself. In that sacred beginning, you carried a knowing that modern life has buried. That breath is the bridge between who you are and who you are becoming. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You learned to breathe like a machine, functional, automatic, shifting from soul-centered breathing to survival-centered breathing. Right now, notice your breath. Where does it begin? For most, it's fast, shallow, trapped in the upper chest, the kind of breath that keeps the body alive but leaves the spirit unfed. The ancients never made this mistake. From the Sanskrit prana to the Hebrew ruach, civilizations across time understood that breath was never just a biological process. It was a sacred thread linking the seen and the unseen, matter and pure potential, the human and the divine. To them, conscious breathing was not merely a practice, it was a portal. In Egyptian mystery schools, every breath was taught to awaken a chamber of consciousness within. The yogis knew breath could transform not only your inner world, but the structure of reality itself. They weren't speaking in metaphor. They understood that each inhale circulates energy through the very fabric of existence. Think about it. Every emotion you've ever felt, every choice you've ever made, every moment of clarity or chaos, each carried its own breathing pattern. In anxiety, the breath becomes fast and brittle. In peace, it grows deep and slow. Breath doesn't just reflect your state, it shapes it. The difference between automated breathing and conscious breathing is awareness. Automated breath happens to you. Conscious breath flows with you. A living dialogue between your inner landscape and the quantum field that wraps itself around you. When you begin to breathe with intention, with reverence, with the awareness that each inhale is a conversation with life itself, everything shifts. You stop being a passive recipient of whatever reality brings. You become an active collaborator in shaping it. And from that moment, breathing is no longer about survival. It is about alignment. What I'm about to share next will dissolve the illusion that has kept you from that truth. You think you command your thoughts, but in truth, most days you are a prisoner of them. We wake each morning, and without invitation, the mental storm begins. What must I do today? I'm falling behind. Did they misunderstand me yesterday? Should I check my phone? And without question, we believe this voice, this endless narrator, is us. But what if it's not? Right now, as you hear these words, I invite you to try something so simple, yet so rare. Notice your breath. Do nothing to change it. Just watch. Air entering your nose, your chest expanding, the gentle fall as it leaves you. And in this moment, something miraculous begins. You are no longer just breathing, you are witnessing the breath. While you watch, the mind will try to intrude. This is silly. I'm not doing it right. How long must I sit here? But if you can see these thoughts, if you can notice them arriving and dissolving, then you cannot be those thoughts. You are the one who sees. This is the birth of the observer, the timeless presence beyond the noise. Imagine sitting beside a river, thoughts rushing by like water, sometimes calm, sometimes violent. But you remain on the shore, untouched by the current. You are not the river, you are the vastness that perceives it. Or think of the sky in clouds. Some clouds are heavy with rain, worry, fear, doubt. Others are light with sunlight, joy, love, hope. Yet no matter what passes through, the sky is never harmed. It is endless, it is still, and so are you. This awareness, the one watching, has been here since you were a child and will remain until your final breath. It is the silent witness to every scene of your life. And here's the deeper truth. The witness is not passive. It is the creative force behind everything you experience. Every wisdom tradition points here. The Hindus call it Sakshi, the witnessing self. Buddhists call it Buddha nature. Mystics speak of the Christ within. Different names want one reality. You are not the passing storm. You are the eternal sky. When this sinks into your bones, life changes. Instead of asking, how do I fix this? You ask, what is this showing me? Instead of fighting your emotions, you grow curious about them. Instead of forcing outcomes, you trust the intelligence weaving your path. This is the true alchemy, not turning lead into gold, but transforming unconscious reactivity into the gold of conscious choice. The breath becomes the furnace, your awareness, the alchemist's hands. Even science now affirms this. When you observe without judgment, your brain rewires itself. In just minutes, new neural pathways emerge, replacing the reactor with the watcher. And as you live more in the observer, you remember. You are not just the actor in the play, you are the actor, the writer, the director, and the audience all at once. With every mindful breath, you send a signal to the universe. I remember who I am. I am here. I am ready to create in harmony with you. And the universe responds, rearranging reality to match your clarity. The ego will resist. It thrives on old stories, on past regrets and future fears. But the observer exists only here, in the eternal now, where all true power lives. When you identify with the watcher instead of the chatter, you stop reacting and begin responding. You witness emotions rise and fall like waves on an infinite ocean. And in that stillness, you touch real freedom. The breath is your anchor. Every return to it is a return to yourself, a step out of the storm and into the sky. This is not just spirituality, it is physics. The observer effect shows that what you see with conscious awareness shapes reality itself. When you observe your inner world with presence, you gain the power to shape the outer one. Have you ever touched a moment so still that it felt as if the universe itself had paused to listen to your heartbeat? A second where the air between your breaths became a doorway, and on the other side, reality waited to be rewritten. Most people pass through life without ever noticing it. But you've been there before, and today you'll remember how to return. Perhaps it was in the middle of a crisis, when the world felt suspended in a fragile hush, or in the warmth of an embrace, where time melted, leaving only presence. Hidden inside those rare instants is a 0.3-second window, a secret seam in the fabric of existence, where you can literally rewire the story of your life. Those moments were never accidents. They were glimpses of the quantum gap, the space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths, a threshold untouched by clocks where the ordinary dissolves and the infinite unfolds. Take a breath now. Feel the inhale, feel the exhale. But this time, notice the pause between them. When your lungs are full but you haven't yet released, when the breath has left but the next hasn't begun. These are not empty spaces. They are sacred gateways, the very ones the initiates of ancient Egypt sought to enter. In the mystery schools along the Nile, seekers learned to rest their consciousness in this pause, a silence they called the breath of Ra. It wasn't mere breathing technique. It was the practice of stepping into the field of infinite potential, the same field that quantum physics now whispers about. Like the silence between two musical notes, the gap is what makes the music beautiful. Without it, there is no rhythm, only noise. Your breath shapes the same sacred rhythm in your life. Inside the quantum gap, your inner noise fades. The endless I should and I must dissolves into stillness. Here, your intention is no longer a plea. It becomes a command to creation itself. This pause is the womb of reality. Just as life forms in the dark quiet of a mother's womb, your dreams need this stillness to take shape. The mystics called it the needle's eye, that impossibly narrow passage where every possibility must pass to be born. But most people rush past it. They breathe fast, think faster, always chasing the next moment. When you learn to rest in the gap, to dwell in the space between what was and what will be, you touch the true source of power. It is not about holding your breath. It is about becoming present to the rhythm of your own being. And in that presence, you meet the place where your soul's intention brushes against infinite possibility. Inside the quantum gap, you do not control the field. You commune with it. But this is only the beginning, for your body has been speaking to you for years, sending signals you've ignored. And these unheeded messages may be the very thing blocking your ability to manifest. That deeper awakening I spoke of does not arrive by climbing higher in thought, nor by crafting more intricate ideas. It is found by descending inward, by stepping down from the restless citadel of the mind into the sacred chambers of the body, the holy ground you carry with you in every breath. Just as the ancients raised temples to shelter the divine, you too are called to construct a sanctuary within, not of stone and mortar, but of presence and breath, a cathedral made of awareness itself. Think of the pyramids of Egypt, the cathedrals of Europe, the sacred spaces where humanity has gathered for centuries to touch the eternal. Every pillar placed with purpose, every chamber shaped to draw in and magnify the currents of the divine. Your body is no different. It is already a temple. The tragedy is that most have never truly stepped inside. The ancient Egyptians understood this with startling clarity. They mapped the human form as a living sanctuary, its energy centers echoing the chambers of sacred architecture. They knew the breath was the master key, a key that could open not only the rooms of divine communion, but also the locked vaults of memory where the body keeps its stories, its patterns, its wounds. As you breathe more consciously, you may notice certain places resisting you, a heaviness in the shoulders, bearing the invisible weight of responsibilities carried too long, a chest that feels armored, shielding a heart that once shut itself to avoid another wound, a belly knotted in silent anxiety about what is yet to come, a throat tightened by the words you never allowed yourself to speak. These are not random sensations. They are living archives. Your body is your biography, storing in its tissues the residue of every unspoken grief, every unprocessed heartbreak, every burden you agreed to carry, even when it was never yours. And here lies the grace of conscious breathing. It does not merely expose these old imprints. It begins to dissolve them. Every intentional breath is like a gentle craftsman, clearing the dust from your inner sanctuary, reopening passages, restoring the natural flow of energy through your being. As you breathe into the tense places, you are not only softening muscle, you are releasing memories, unbinding emotions, even unwinding inherited patterns etched into the very fabric of your cells. Science now tells us that trauma can sculpt the way our ancestors breathed, a signature passed through epigenetics into our own nervous system. A fear your grandmother once carried can echo in you, even if you have never lived her story. This is why sometimes we tremble before a shadow we have never met. But the beauty is this: what is inherited can also be transfigured. When you breathe from a state of coherence, you are not only healing your own life, you are sending ripples of restoration through your lineage. Your breath becomes a bridge across time, blessing those who came before you and those who will one day come after. Picture yourself descending the inner temple, level by level, breath by breath, into the heart chamber, where love and grief, connection and wisdom are kept like sacred fire. Into the belly chamber, the wellspring of power, instinct, and deep knowing. With each inhale, you do not merely visit these places. You cleanse them, you consecrate them, you reclaim them. The ancients aligned their temples with the stars so that heaven might touch earth. Through conscious breathing, you do the same, aligning the architecture of your being with the frequencies of love, peace, and creative force. This is not about sculpting your body into perfection. It is about inhabiting it fully, honoring its quiet genius, and clearing away the blockages that have dimmed your radiance. And once your inner temple stands restored, the world around you cannot help but shift in response. Have you ever noticed those rare moments when time itself seems to bend? When the world slows, not in your imagination, but in your very perception. Sometimes it happens in the stillness of a crisis, sometimes in the warmth of an embrace. Hidden in that space between your breaths lies a 0.3-second doorway, a narrow threshold through which your reality can be rewritten. Most people pass their entire lives unaware it even exists. Those moments you recalled, when the edges of the world softened and the clock seemed to lose its grip, were not random. They were invitations, brief glimpses of what becomes possible when you slip between thoughts, between heartbeats, between the inhale and the exhale. In that suspended instant, you touch something beyond time, something outside the ordinary current of events. You touch the quantum gap. Now, take a breath, not just to fill your lungs, but to feel what happens in the spaces in between. Notice the pause at the height of your inhale, lungs full, yet no exhale begun. Notice the stillness at the bottom of your exhale, empty, yet no inhale begun. These are not empty pauses. They are thresholds, silent corridors into the infinite. The ancient Egyptians knew this. In the mystery schools along the Nile, initiates learned to enter these spaces with their consciousness. They called it resting in the silence of Ra, the place where the sun god paused between creation's breaths. It wasn't simply breath work. It was training the mind to step into the field of infinite potential that exists inside every stillness. Thousands of years later, quantum physics affirms the same truth. Between one state and another, anything can arise. It is like the pause between musical notes. Without silence, there is no rhythm, no harmony, only noise. Your breath weaves this same rhythm into the fabric of your life. And within the quantum gap, something extraordinary happens. The endless commentary in your mind, the I should, the I must, the I need, falls silent. In that stillness, intention crystallizes. Not the restless craving of the ego, but the steady knowing of the soul. Here, your deepest desires stop being wishes and become instructions to the field. Think of this gap as the womb of creation itself. Just as life begins in the dark, quiet depths of the mother, your dreams also require a sacred darkness in which to take form. Mystics once called it the needle's eye, that impossibly narrow point through which infinite possibilities must pass to become reality. Yet most people rush through these spaces without even seeing them. They breathe quickly, think constantly, and hurry toward the next moment. But when you learn to rest inside the gap, when you grow comfortable in the space between what was and what is about to be, you find this is where true power lives. It's not about holding your breath. It's not about forcing stillness. It's about falling into the natural rhythm of your being and allowing presence to lead you to the place where intention meets infinite possibility. In the quantum gap, you are not commanding the field. You are communing with it. And yet, entering this gap is only the beginning, because your body has been whispering to you for years, sending signals you have ignored. And those neglected messages are quietly blocking your ability to manifest. Have you ever noticed those rare moments when time itself seems to hesitate? Not moving forward, not falling behind, just suspended? Maybe it was in the middle of a crisis or in the silent warmth of an embrace. Hidden in those instances is something astonishing, a fraction of a second, about 0.3, where reality becomes soft enough to be reshaped. Most people pass through it without ever knowing, but when it happens, it isn't chance. It's a glimpse of what unfolds when you slip into the space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths. In that weightless pause, you touch something outside the current of time. You meet the quantum gap. Try it now. Breathe in deeply. Feel the air fill your lungs. Notice that brief, exquisite stillness before exhaling. And at the end of your breath out, another stillness, holding its own kind of eternity. These are not empty spaces. They are sacred thresholds. The ancient Egyptians knew this. In the hidden halls along the Nile, initiates were taught to enter these pauses with awareness, calling it resting in the silence of Ra. The moment the sun god lingered between creation breaths, it wasn't just breath work. It was a practice of stepping into the field of infinite potential that lives in every stillness. Modern physics now echoes this wisdom. Between one state and the next, anything can arise. Like the rest between notes in a melody. Without the silence, there's no rhythm, no beauty, only noise. Your breath is the same, a rhythm that weaves the sacred into your life. Inside the quantum gap, the mind's constant chatter dissolves. No more I must, I should, I need. Only pure, quiet awareness. From here, intention becomes sharp and clear, not from the grasping of the ego, but from the knowing of the soul. In this silence, your desires stop being mere wishes and turn into direct instructions to creation itself. Think of the gap as the womb of the universe. In the dark stillness, life takes shape. Just as a child forms unseen in a mother's embrace, ancient mystics called it the needle's eye, the impossibly narrow gate through which infinite possibility becomes tangible reality. Most rush past it, breathing shallow, thinking endlessly, always leaning toward the next moment. But when you can rest here, in the space between what was and what will be, you discover where all true power lives. It's not about holding the breath, not about force, but about being deeply present to the natural rhythm of your being. And in that presence, you meet the place where intention merges with infinity. In the quantum gap, you're not trying to control the field. You're in communion with it. But stepping into the gap is only the beginning. There's something even deeper waiting. Signals your body has been sending for years, whispering truths you've been too busy to hear. Those ignored messages may be the very things standing between you and the life you've been trying to manifest. Right now, pause. Let the breath slow, not as an unconscious habit, but as a living choice. With each inhale, you step back into the role of the witness, not the actor caught in the script, but the one who sees beyond the scene. This isn't just breathing, it is a quiet proclamation to the field that you are ready to return to the way of being that has always been yours. You've walked with me through this exploration, where the breath is not a simple exchange of air, but a sacred bridge between the finite and the infinite, where stillness is not an absence of movement, but the concentrated power that holds the stars in place. In this journey, you've touched the truth that the 23,000 breaths you take each day are not mere biology, but 23,000 chances to create reality consciously. You've met the silent watcher within, the one who lets thoughts drift by like clouds against a sky that has never known an edge. In the space between one breath and the next, you found the doorway where intention condenses into form. You've discovered your body is not only flesh and bone, but a living temple, a library of your life stories, and a sanctuary for healing and transformation. You've learned that your breath shapes an electromagnetic field, stretching far beyond your skin, broadcasting harmony or chaos to every soul you cross paths with. And you've tasted the paradox, that the most potent action is often the quiet decision to do nothing, and to let reality reorganize itself around the coherence of your being. Yes, there will be days when the noise pulls you away, when the lens fogs, when the mind storms. In those moments, remember, the shortest way home is breath. 3 conscious inhales can bring you back. 1 pause between breaths can return you to the field. A single moment of stillness can restore your temple. This isn't perfection, it is the art of returning. Each time you breathe with awareness, you don't just shift your mood. You reshape reality itself from the quantum upward. You live the proof that consciousness, not circumstance, is the true architect of your life. And then something beautiful begins. Life starts breathing you. The boundary between your breath and the breath of the cosmos dissolves. You feel each inhale as life pouring into you, each exhale as you pouring yourself back into life. This exchange becomes a wordless prayer, a seamless communion with the creative current. In this rhythm, synchronicities multiply. The right people arrive at the perfect moment. Paths open without force. Solutions and resources rise to meet you without you chasing them. It isn't manipulation, it's trust, letting reality's natural intelligence carry you to your highest expression. You see that what you once called miracles are simply the natural movements of consciousness when it is whole and clear. Healing feels inevitable. Abundance flows without strain. Love expands without condition. Peace holds without effort. The ancient masters knew, awakening isn't about gaining something new, but removing what has always hidden the light. And the breath, this simple, faithful companion, is the master key. It opens every door. It dissolves every wall. It returns you to the infinite nature that was never lost. When you live this, you become a reality anchor, a steady point in the shifting sea. Your very presence reminds others of what they already are. You do not need to persuade or explain. Your coherence itself becomes an unspoken invitation for the world to remember its own truth. This is how consciousness rises, not through force, not through striving, but through the quiet magnetism of living in full embodiment of what is true. The work you are doing is not just about you. It is not simply personal transformation. It is the turning of a planetary tide. Each moment you choose presence over reaction, each time you return to your breath instead of losing yourself in noise, you are contributing to the awakening of an entire species. You are helping to anchor a paradigm where consciousness is recognized as the prime creative force in the universe. Right now, there is a critical mass forming, a swelling wave of remembrance. As more of us awaken to our nature as conscious creators, the collective field edges closer to what scientists call a phase transition. The moment when a system reorganizes itself entirely, when the old dissolves and the new pattern emerges. Your breathing, your presence, your stillness. These are not small acts. They are the very threads weaving this evolutionary shift. The wisdom keepers always knew this moment would arrive. The Hopi spoke of a great purification when humanity would remember its covenant with the living earth. The Mayans marked this era as the turning of a cosmic wheel, the closing of one great cycle and the birth of another. The Hindu texts foretold the passage from Kali Yuga, the age of shadows, into Satya Yuga, the age of truth, and all of them understood this would not come through violence or conquest, but through the gentle, unstoppable revolution of human consciousness remembering itself. Every soul that learns to breathe with awareness becomes a seed of the new world. Each breath you take in coherence anchors a higher frequency into the shared field of reality. Before you close this moment, pause. Let a single word arise within you, a word that holds the frequency you choose to live by now. Leave it here as a signature in the living field we are co-creating. If these words resonate, return to them each morning. Let them meet you like the first light spilling into a quiet room. And if someone you love is ready to remember, place this in their hands. Watch the ripples carry far beyond what you can see. We are not just breathing for ourselves. We are breathing a new world into being. So walk on now, letting breath be your compass, stillness your throne, awareness your constant companion. Breathe, not to survive, but to remember. Not to escape, but to embody. Not to control, but to create. The breath is the key. You are the door. Step through.